Facebook likes NASDAQ.
Yeah.
We have our sources confirming this, and it apparently is going to be official soon, but right now our sources are confirming that Facebook has chosen NASDAQ. You know, it's obviously a big win. This has been a big battle. The exchanges are always trying to get these high-profile listings, and Facebook is the biggest of them all. So this is obviously a big get for NASDAQ, but I think more importantly, I think this is also a huge, it's more of a bigger loss for NYSE than it is for a big win for NASDAQ. And the reason why is, you know, NASDAQ has obviously dominated tech names for quite some time now. You've seen a little bit of a comeback, and in 2011 it's been a pretty even battle because NYSE got LinkedIn and Yelp and Pandora, and so those are some big high-profile names in the social media space. So if they would have gotten Facebook, that would have just topped it off. That would have been a huge exclamation point, and that could have given them more power to maybe, you know, convince some of the other names, the Googles, the Ciscos and whatnot, to try to switch over. So the fact that they didn't get Facebook, that's a huge loss for them, and for NASDAQ, it's almost like a sigh of relief here.
And the NYSE has evidenced some global consolidation ambitions. Does the fact that it loses out on some of the big listing opportunities out there somehow or other detract from their possibility to attract a consolidation partner someplace around the globe?
It certainly doesn't help, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's a great question because it's obviously been a very tough year for NYSE and their failed merger with Deutsche Börse. So it's, you know, this is just another negative here, another hit for them. But I think, though, this has been something that people have been waiting for a long time. Facebook is going to go public in May next month. So, and it's going to be one of the biggest IPOs that we've seen ever. So this is a big get for NASDAQ, and the tech-heavy NASDAQ, which had been struggling, which hadn't attracted as many of those tech names as it had in the past, this is a good get for them.
And do you think this is more of a cultural fit in the sense that the NYSE can sometimes be seen as sort of the old establishment, the money companies, the old money versus the new money, where the tech stocks like Apple and Intel are at the NASDAQ, and perhaps Facebook just decided, you know, that's a better fit for us than maybe, you know, the old story at NYSE?
You know, someone described to me, you know, it's a club. You know, which club do you want to be in? And that's the way, you know, the way you described it, it hits the nail on the head. And, you know, Facebook wants to be hip, wants to be cool, and the hip, cool exchange in their mind, I guess, is NASDAQ. And NYSE has really done a lot, to their credit, has done a lot to try to transform that image. And you've seen it in the listing numbers over the last few years. So that old stodgy mentality has kind of gone away, and it's not as prevalent as it was in the past. But, you know, this would have definitely swayed it even more if they could have gotten Facebook, and they didn't.
So, Steve, it's not going to take much. You know, if Facebook comes out, $10 billion IPO, valuing the company at about $100 billion, it wouldn't take much of a first-day move to vault them into the ranks of the top 20 companies.
Yeah,
which means that if you look at the NASDAQ Composite or the NASDAQ 100, you're going to have two companies, Apple and Facebook, that are going to really dictate exactly how those indexes are going to trade on a given day. I mean, as it is, Apple's already 16% of the NASDAQ 100. Add Facebook in there, and you basically got two names that could really dictate the course of the direction for those indexes this year.
Right, and as long as they're doing well, everything's great, right? But
sure.
If they falter in any sort of way, yeah, that's a huge concern.
You're not suggesting Apple's going to falter.
I think I got in trouble for that a couple days ago, talking about that on this show. But, you know, you bring up a great point because, you know, because Apple is such a big weighting now, and now you add Facebook, which is another big weighting. I mean, you're talking, you know, these two components alone could comprise 20–25% of the overall index, which is just an astonishing figure.
Yeah.
And as long as they're doing well, everything will be fine. But the minute that they don't do so well, that's when the story
But then
changes.
it also sort of camouflages really what's going on with the rest of the...
It's not a great reflection of the overall market. And so that's one of the big worries, I guess, that, you know, a lot of people have already talked about Apple now, is that, you know, Apple's earnings are just overshadowing everything else going on, and not even just the NASDAQ, but the S&P 500. So this will only add to that chorus of concerns out there right now.